The week's top headlines here at International. EU leaders agreed to target migrant traffickers in the Mediterranean after a boat capsizes, killing up to 900 refugees on board. The Saudi-led coalition maintains its bombardment of Yemen, while Russia evacuates more civilians, including some Americans, from the war zone. Plus, street clashes erupt in the U.S. city of Baltimore after a week of anti-police brutality rallies sparked by the death of a black man in custody. You're watching RT International, coming to you live from Moscow. I'm Marina Joshi. Welcome to the program. Now, this week, Brussels agreed to triple its funding for search and rescue operations for migrants in the Mediterranean. The plan to boost its presence in the area came after an emergency meeting in response to a horrendous spike of refugee deaths at sea. Dozens of EU states already pledged their support. However, the upgraded mission won't be limited to just rescue operations.
Of course, saving lives means rescuing these poor people, but it also means smashing the gangs and stabilising the region. Now, Britain, as ever, will help. We'll use our aid budget to help stabilise neighbouring countries. And as the country in Europe with the biggest defence budget, we can make a real contribution.
And the contribution from UK is indeed one of the most significant. Among other vessels Britain will send is its flagship assault ship. That, as the EU foreign offices are currently looking at the possibility of military action against traffickers. As for now, they agreed to go after their ships by the means of coast guards and international police. That, as the public anger against the lack of efforts to save lives is already rising in the bloc. Now, this is how European protesters in Berlin greeted the chief of the border service in charge of rescue operations in the Mediterranean this week. Political commentator John White says that the military action against traffickers being molded by the EU isn't the way out of the crisis.
Inevitably, it's going to be a military action rather than a humanitarian action. These people clearly never miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity. And if they do resort to military action, and it's unilaterally taken without the coordination of the controlling government in Libya, if they go crashing in, as they've done time and again, in Iraq, in Syria, it will only compound the disaster. It will not make it better. The governing body in Tripoli, regardless of how strong it is in terms of taking on the international community, can certainly make life even more difficult for people trying to escape the country. They can hold these people to ransom.
Now, the whole anti-crisis EU meeting was launched after the boat full of migrants sank last Sunday in what was called the worst refugee disaster ever in the Mediterranean. There were only 28 survivors from a boat that was carrying more than 900 people. Only 24 bodies were recovered.